Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tat Padam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhusya Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vedya Dravinam Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavahitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we've been discussing the question, is there prarabdha karma for the saint, for the jivan mukta, for the person of steady wisdom? And Shankara has talked about how the mark of the person of steady wisdom is that they are not identified with the body. And the sanchita karma and the agami karma, the karmas of the past that have yet to fructify, the karma of the future is all roasted in the fire of knowledge. And all that's left is the karma of this lifetime, this body. And Jivan Mukta stands back watching it just unfold with no particular concern for it. So what verse are we on?
456.
You help us out, please.
Nahi prabudha pratibhas dehe dehopayoginyapi cha prapanche karotyahantam mamatam idantam kintu swayam tishtati jagarena. He who has awakened from sleep has no idea of I and mine with respect to the dream body, nor for the dream objects related to it. He lives ever awake as his own self.
Yes. So the person of steady wisdom sees this phenomenal world and the life of the body, mind, intellect moving through it like a lucid dream. He's ever identified as the self, never identified with it, nor particularly concerned about it. Next one.
Na tasya mityartha samarthanecha na sangrahastajya jagatopi drishtaha tatranuvitriya dichin mrisharthe na nidraya mukta itishyate dhruvam. He does not wish to prove the unreal objects to be real, nor is it observed that he maintains the dream world. If he still holds on to the unreal objects, he is emphatically declared to not be yet free from sleep.
Yes. So the mark of the person of steady wisdom is he has no concern for this world. Watches it, sees it, can discuss politics or art or music or economics. He's not a fool, but no involvement with it. And if you still are running an agenda of some sort, I want this, I don't want that, I want to achieve this, I'm afraid of that. And you take it seriously. And here Shankara says, you are probably fooling yourself. Next verse.
Tadvat pare brahmani vartamana sadatmana tishtati nanyadikshate smitiryatha swapna viloki yatarthe tatha vid tatha vid prashanam ochanat nadav. So too, the man who remains identified with the eternal reality does not perceive anything else. Just as one remembers having seen the objects in the dream, the realized man remembers his day-to-day acts of eating, etc.
Yes. So he sees it's all Brahman, it's all the Leela, the divine play. His equipment plays its role in the drama of life. But he's unattached, uninvolved. And the body will get its allotted dose. Joys and sorrows, pleasure and suffering, honor and dishonor, success and failure, sickness and health. He simply observes it. One of my favorite stories. It's about the final days of Swami Tapovana. And he actually died of dysentery, which was probably eminently treatable. And as he wasted away, his disciples said, "Oh, Swamiji, let us take you to Delhi where you can be treated." And his response was, "What? People don't die in Delhi?" They'd say, "Oh, Swamiji, please, we don't want you to die. We love you." And he said, "Soon I will be eternally united with my beloved. And you want me to remain in this packet of sorrows, and you say you love me?" Very different view of things. But this kind of perfect knowledge is very rare. Next verse.
I wonder if there's also an implication of memory in this particular verse where he says, just as one remembers having seen the objects in the dream, like the ability to record things kind of, I sense like diminishes as well. Right?
It might. I mean, Swamiji had a capacious memory. You know, just it's incredible. I think what he means here, just as you remember seeing the tree or the camel or the sailboat in the dream, I see you sitting in my living room. I see that there's a sofa there. I was listening to the speeches from the Democratic Convention. It's not that the person of steady wisdom doesn't perceive the world, doesn't mean that, but he sees it like one sees a dream. That's my interpretation. You may, I mean, again, these style of these verses are maximum meaning with minimum words. This is just this one's take on it this evening. Maybe different the next time I go through the book. But yours is perfectly valid. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, that makes sense.
My experience of Mahatmas is their minds are incredibly sharp, even though they have no mind. Incredibly perceptive and insightful. Yes, I can tell this story. So I was at an event last Saturday. A dear friend of mine was celebrating 24 years of sobriety. So I went to honor him. And he was talking about a conversation he had with another friend of ours who worked with me briefly. So briefly, I don't barely remember it. But he said, "Oh my God, Jim's a witch." It's like he knew exactly what I was thinking and feeling and what I'd done and stuff like that, you know. It was scary. I think if you've got a quiet mind, most people are pretty transparent, actually. That's my sense of people who are meditators. They're incredibly perceptive because their minds are quiet.
Right. I was talking more of the recording of perception. Like I don't disagree with the perceptive aspect of it.
There's a forgetting of past experiences.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Okay, okay.
So like a dream, like I don't remember a dream. There is sort of a forgetting of history, I suppose.
Although again, you know, Swamiji would quote scripture, remember things. I say he had a capacious memory. He remember people. I wouldn't worry about it. Next one.
कर्मणा निर्मितो देहः प्रारब्धं तस्य कल्पयिताम् नानादेरात्मनो युक्तं नैवात्मना कर्म निर्मितः. The body has been fashioned by prarabdha, so one accepts that relates. So one accepts that relates to the body, but it is not reasonable to attribute it to the self, for the Atman is never the result of an earlier work.
Yes. So the dharma of the body is karma. So in this life, the dharma of your body is prarabdha karma. But the mark of the man of steady wisdom is he knows he's not the body. It's the dharma of your car. Unless you park it in a garage and shut the garage for the next 30 years. But if you use the car, It's the dharma of the car to eventually wear out and break down. But you can open the door and walk out of the car. So also the Jivan Mukta. Not identified with the subtle body either, but as the birthless, changeless, Chidaka, space of pure awareness. Next verse.
अजो नित्य शाश्वत इति ऋते श्रुतिर मोधवाक् तदात्मना तिष्ठतोस्य उत प्रारब्ध कल्पना. The Atman is birthless, eternal, and undecaying. Such is the absolute declaration of Shruti. How can Prarabdha be attributed to him who lives ever identified with that?
Yes. So just like nobody walks into my house and says, I have a broken headlight. It hurts so badly. No, your car has a broken headlight. So also for the Jivan Mukta, only the body has prarabdha, never the self. So he's at peace with whatever comes along. And the Lord has drawn the wonderful curtain of mystery over the future. Who's to say what's to happen next? In relationships, with friendships, with our jobs, with where we live, bank accounts, all of it. Who's to say? But what will happen is written. Next verse.
प्रारब्धं सिद्ध्यति तदा यदा देहात्मना स्थितिः देहात्मभावो नैवेष्ट प्रारब्धं त्यजयत् प्रारब्धं त्यज्यत् तामतः. Only as long as one lives identified with one's body can one accept prarabdha work. But no one accepts that a man of realization ever identifies himself with his body. Hence, in his case, prarabdha world should be rejected.
Yes. So, prarabdha, which means the description of the fate, as it were, of the body in this life, only has meaning for someone who's identified with the body. The person of steady wisdom is never identified with the body. So the man of steady wisdom, the saint, has no prarabdha. So why is there a teaching on it? It is for ignorant people to explain what they see. They see the Mahatma and they think that body is the Mahatma. And they see that body do this, that, and the other thing. So the scriptures teach prarabdha to resolve the doubt of the body identity. But for the Jivan Mukta, I have no prarabdha. I go nowhere. Nothing happens to me. So remember, the whole section started with the question, is there prarabdha for the saint? That's the question going on. And the reason there's that doubt, there's a school of thought that says, as long as there is any desire, that's what causes action. The desire comes from vasana. Vasana has the element of ignorance. So if anybody's walking around, it means they're not free. They do not have moksha. There's only videha moksha. That's one school of thought. Our school of thought says no. The Jivan Mukta is liberated, even though the imaginary body continues to flop around for a bit. Next verse.
शरीरस्यापि प्रारब्ध कल्पना भ्रान्तिरेव हि अध्यस्तस्य कुत सत्वं सत्यस्त कुतो जनिः अजातस्य कुतो नाश प्रारब्धं सत कुतः. To attribute prarabdha even to the body is decidedly an illusion. How can a superimposition have any existence? How can the unreal have a birth? And that which is never born, how can it die? So, how can prarabdha function for something unreal?
Yes. It is like I see the snake in the rope. Now, this is a green anaconda, which gives live birth. Very small, but it's going to grow up to be a huge snake. And it will not lay eggs, it will have live birth. So there'll be all sorts of baby little anacondas. That's the destiny of my snake. Then you understand that it's a rope. What happened to your green anaconda? Never was. Did the green anaconda in your rope give live birth? No. You meet someone in a dream. Who is their mother? Did the person in your dream have a real mother? So Swamiji's famous statement. You could plug in prarabdha here. He usually talked about reincarnation. Is the genealogy of the ghost in the post. What's there is the post. In my delusion, I hallucinate a ghost. Then I attribute cause and effect to the ghost in the post. How can you attribute real cause and effect, prarabdha, to something that's fundamentally imaginary? So, from the viewpoint of the person of steady wisdom, we can't even say there's prarabdha for the body. Again, it's a teaching for the ignorant. to explain. Now listen carefully. Not only does the body of the saint have no prarabdha, neither does anybody else's. Sarvam idam swapne veti. All this is, as it were, a dream. So I'm going through Mandukya Upanishad with the Gaudapada Kataka with a private student right now. We just started the second chapter. The first chapter, the Agama Prakarana, the scriptural part, we talk about Om having four quarters, A-U-M in silence, A-U-Ma in silence, waking, dream, deep sleep, and the consciousness in which these three states move, continue. In the second chapter, Gaudapada starts out saying, all the things in the dream are unreal. They're contained within the body. If you dream you go to a far off place, you can't get there fast enough and get back. They are seen, but they are not real. And then in the fourth karika, it's so outrageous. This waking state reality, likewise, is unreal. And the proof of its unreality is that you can see it. Only I, which is never cognized as an object, is real. All phenomena, gross, subtle, appears like a dream. So Gaudapada basically says, well, actually we lied. We've only got two mind states, deep sleep and dream. You take dream as nighttime dream and daytime dream, but they're the same. They're the projection of imaginary images, gross and subtle. This is the vision of the Sthita Prajna Purusha. Sarva Maya, Sarva Mana. It's all Maya. It's all bliss. Next verse.
ज्ञानेनाज्ञानकार्यस्य समूलस्य लयो यदि तिष्ठत्ययं कथं देह इति शङ्कावतो जडान् समाधातुं बाह्यदृष्ट्या प्रारब्धं वदति श्रुतिः. If the effects of ignorance are destroyed, root and all, by knowledge, how does the body continue to live? Shruti, from a relative standpoint, hypothesizes the work of prarabdha for those fools who entertain such doubts.
So if the effects of ignorance is destroyed, why don't you drop dead? Some saints do, or live only a very short time. But others live very long lives. It's great Mahatmas for the good of the rest of us. Why don't they drop dead? If the cause for the body is gone, how does it continue? That is why Shruti puts forward the doctrine of prarabdha. But the whole question is immaterial to the jnani. To the jnani, videha moksha and jivan mukta are the same. The mark of the person of steady wisdom is he knows he's Brahman. That's nothing else to know. Next verse.
Natu deha disatyatva bodhanaya vipishchitam yata shrutera bhipraya paramarthaika gocharaha. The idea of prarabdha has been expounded by the Upanishads not for proving the reality of the body, etc., for the man of realization, because the Upanishads are without exception striving to point out the one supreme reality.
So there are many subsidiary teachings in the Upanishads. We have the Panchakoshas, we have the Panchakaranam, we have Prarabdha, we have, the descent of Prana and Rahim and all that sort of stuff. These fundamentally are for the ignorant, the jinyasu, the seeker after knowledge. Just like seventh grade or the eighth grade, when you first begin to study elements, you get a look at an atom that looks like a tiny solar system with the neutrons and the protons, and then the electrons orbit around it. But when you get to university and you start to study physics, really, you see, oh, that's way too simplistic. Way too simplistic. I was talking with Jack, our physicist, about the whole thing that time doesn't exist. Time space is one thing. I can't even, my mind won't wrap around it. It's beyond my limited ability with my little intellect. So these teachings are there. They are never for the point of proving the real existence of the phenomenal world, of the body, of the transmigrating soul. Those are partial teachings, always ultimately pointing to the real truth. Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. All this is Brahman. Brahma Satyam Jagan Nitya. Brahman alone is real. The appearance of the phenomenal world is illusory. And it's at this point that many of us start to have trouble. Because there's a lot in this world that I love. And this teaching says it's like marrying a blow-up doll. There's nothing there. We don't want to hear it. We don't want to believe it. We certainly don't want to experience it. That doesn't mean it's not true. So remember at the beginning of the book, when I began with saying, if you do everything that Shankara indicates, you can almost ensure self-realization. And that doesn't mean if you read everything Shankara says. So our understanding and our experience goes along, and then it starts to deviate a little bit, and then teaching just soars, and we kind of jump on this Vedanta is hard stuff. Not hard to understand, but hard to accept. And I'm not ready to live from it yet. It's all right. The Guru says, don't worry. Let the world batter you around for a while more. And your dukkha liberates you. It's theoretically possible to grow spiritually out of inspiration. However, few of us do beyond a certain point. It's almost always because of a response to our suffering. Next verse.
New section, section 72. There is no plurality.
Yeah. Before we leave this, any questions on this whole section on Prarabdha? It's really quite fascinating, I think. All right, going on.
Paripurnam anadhyantam prameyam avikriyam ekam evadvayam brahma neha nanasti kinchana. Only Brahman there is, non-dual, with no beginning or end, incomparable and changeless. In it, there is no duality whatsoever.
So here he goes to the highest knowledge. Only Brahman there is. There's no real otherness. Just like when I bring out the crystal body, only stone there is. There are no real images in it. Stone isn't vibrating. The images in the stone haven't issued forth. Spatika Ganam, a homogeneous mass of stone. All this is a homogeneous, unchanging mass of consciousness. Yet an entire universe appears, seen, not real. Next one.
Sadghanam chidghana nityam ananda ghanam akriyam ekam evadvayam brahma neha nanasti kinchana. The essence of existence, the essence of knowledge, the essence of eternal bliss, non-dual, devoid of any activity. There is only Brahman. In it, there is no duality whatsoever.
Well, and he calls it the essence of these things, but he's using the word ghanam, which is a homogeneous mass. So what was the first one he said? Was it Satganam?
Yeah, existence.
Yes. What is here is a homogeneous mass of pure existence. And the second one was Anandakanam, wasn't it?
No, second one was Chit, so knowledge.
Chit Ganam, a homogeneous mass of sentience. Then Anandakanam, a homogeneous mass. It's all that's really here. Now, the practice, thin the mind and you will see what is. The world is the mind is the world. The grosser and denser your mind, the more solid the world appears. Thin the mind, the world thins out. Stop the mind, and you stop the world. Next one.
Pratyek ekarasam purnam anantam sarvatomukham ekamevadvayam brahma nehanam nasti kinchana. The subject within all, non-dual, homogeneous, endless, all-pervading. There is one Brahman. In it, there is no duality whatsoever.
So even though I see a phenomenal world as an object, that's just imagination. Only the subject is real. It is the one eternal subject. Everyone and everything. There's no duality whatsoever in reality. Seen, but not real. Next.
Aheyam, anupadeyam, anadeyam, anashrayam, ekamevadvayam brahma, neha nanasti kinchana. That which is to be neither shunned, nor taken up, nor accepted. That which is non-dual and without support. There is one Brahman. In it, there is no duality whatsoever.
So, for the person of steady wisdom, there's no more any sadhana. Nothing to be let go of, nothing to be taken up, nothing to be studied, nothing to practice. All strivings have ceased. No inside, no outside. We had that long section on practice, Nirvikalpa Samadhi. But in Shankara's great hymn, Nirvana Shatakam, he says, Aham Nirvikalpo, which means I am Nirvikalpa. Next one.
Nirgunam Nishkalam Sukshmam Nirvikalpam Niranjanam Ekame Vadvayam Brahma Nehana Nasti Kinchana. With no qualities or parts, it is subtle, without disturbances, and taintless. There is one Brahman, in it there is no duality whatsoever.
So he echoes the same language that he uses in Nirvana Shaptakam, or maybe it's the other way around. No parts, no nothing. Next.
Anirupya Swarupam Yan Manovacha Ekamevadvayam Brahma Nehana Nasti Kinchana. The real nature of which is incomprehensible, which is beyond mind and speech and non-dual. There is only Brahman. In it, there is no duality whatsoever.
He who knows it knows it not. He who knows it not knows it. Unknow the mind. Next.
Satsam Hridam Swata Siddham Shuddham Buddham Nidrisham Ekamevadvayam Brahma Nehana Nasti Kinchana. Self-existing, self-evident, pure intelligence, unlike anything finite, non-dual. There is only one Brahman. In it, there is no plurality whatsoever.
Yes. So the first idea is self-existent.
Yeah, self-existing.
Always there. Outside of time and space. Self-shining, self-evident. The self is being and it knows itself. You know that you were you. What's the next idea?
Self-evident.
Yeah.
Pure intelligence.
Yes. Shines. Pure awareness, pure consciousness. Pure conscious being. You are the conscious being. Next idea.
Unlike anything finite.
Yeah. Unrelated to, unlike anything that appears in the phenomenon. And so here, how is it that people do not know themselves? It's so here. You are not you. Next one.
New section 73, experience of selfhood.
Okay, so now we're going into a section of the scripture that tends to make the Shishya angry. Why? Because our Shishya in the book gets realized. And the people have asked, wait a minute, wait for me. Into the book, we start going on.
Nirastaraga, vinirasta bhoga, shanta sudanta, yatayo mahantaha, vignaya tattvam, parametadante, prapta param nirvritam atma yoga. Noble-hearted, renunciated, who are rid of attachments, who have given up all sense enjoyments, who are calm and controlled, realize this supreme truth, and at the end, they gain bliss supreme as a result of their self-realization.
Yes. So people who have walked this narrow path, who have done what Shankara has suggested, they realize their self-nature. The mind is exploded. It's become no mind. Just as the waves go back into the ocean. So when all the struggle and the striving, all the vikshepa shakti is gone, the mind is blissful. What was the expression we had? Brahmananda rasa swad. Is that right?
Swad. Brahmananda rasa swad.
Tasting the juice. Next verse.
Avanipidam paratattvamatmanaha swarupamananda ghanam vicharya vidhuya moham swamana prakalpitam mukta kritartho bhavatu prabuddhaha. You too discriminate thus. Be established in the surpassing truth, the real nature of the Atman, which is bliss absolute, and shaking off the delusion created by your own mind, be liberated and illumined, and reach the fulfillment of your life.
So this knowledge is not for some select few. It's available to you. Here Shankara says, go for it. Cast off your ignorance. Throw far away your attachment to these illusory names and forms. Give up any personal idea of self. Give up your belief in the substantive reality of phenomena. Quit believing in the mind itself. Swamiji used to say, meet me there. Next.
Samadhina sadhu vinishchalatmana pashyatmatattvam sputabodha chakshusha nisanshayam samya gavet kshitaschet shruttah padartho na punirvikalpate. Perceive the nature of the self with the eye of perfect knowledge, through samadhi, where the mind has been brought to complete quietude. If the declarations of Shruti heard from the teacher are perfectly understood without a trace of doubt, it can lead to no more skepticism.
Yeah. So we want jnanam, vijnanam cha, understanding and direct experience. You've gained a clear understanding of the nature of the self and the not self. And at least for moments, you've been able to bring the mind to a thunderous stop. Who sees the thoughts and the space between them? Anytime the mind is free from its vimarsha, its deliberation, what remains is the prakasha, the light. Next verse.
Swasya vidyam bandha sambandha moksha Yatsagyananda Rupatma Labdhao Shastram Yukti Dishakokti Pramanam Chanta Siddha Swanubhuti Pramanam. When the self, the existence knowledge bliss, is realized through liberation from one's bondage of ignorance, then the scriptures, logical reasoning, the words of the teacher, these are proofs. The subjective experience of one's own concentrated mind is yet another proof.
Yes. So we have our four pramanas, which means an authority, and it also means a means of knowledge. And they should all line up. The first authority is Shruti. That whole thing can be reduced to the four Mahavakyas. Prajnanam Brahma. Brahman is consciousness. Where is it located? I am Atma. This self is Brahma. Just Guruji. Tat Twamasi. You are that. Go there. And then the exclamation of the Shisha at the moment of realization. Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahman. Not I know Brahman. I am. That's the Shruti. Words of the teacher. My own logical reasoning. My own direct experience. With those pramana, your own direct experience swallows all doubt. Next verse.
Bandho mokshascha triptishcha chinta. Oh, sorry, wrong meter. Bandho mokshascha triptishcha chintarogya dudhadayah svenaiva vedhyayaj jnanam paresham manumanikam. Bondage and liberation, contentment and anxiety, health, hunger, etc., are known only by the person concerned. Others have knowledge of these by mere inference.
Yes. So we only know of hunger and thirst, sickness, health, the beauty of music or the moon or anything like that as secondhand knowledge if someone relates it to us. Don't be content with the knowledge of the Guru. Ooh, my Guru is so enlightened. He's an avatar. My Guru is bigger than your Guru. He has bigger crowd size. Don't be satisfied with indirect knowledge. Don't be satisfied with having studied. How many texts have you studied? How many shlokas can you quote? Swamiji used to say you only need 2 books, Bhagavad Gita and Vivekachudamani. All the rest is fluff. It says the same knowledge over and over and over and over and over again. We must do the tapas. We must do the sadhana. And if you've had that direct experience, even just a glimpse, even just once, mind has gotten quiet. Tender faculties focused within. See, there's nobody there. Now you have something real with which to work. Before that, it's just faith. What's the next step? Becomes Theta Prajna. Steady wisdom. Watch out. Remember Shloka 267 in this text. Even after realization of the truth, there exists a strong impression that one is the doer, which is the cause for rebirth, for re-identification. It has to be conscientiously rooted out through steady, continuous identification with the self. It's the annihilation of the vasanas here and now. It's considered liberation by the way. There it is. Next verse.
Tatastata bodhayanti guruva shrutayo yatha prajna yaiva tared vidwan ishvaranugrihitaya. Standing apart, the teachers and the scriptures instruct the disciple. The man of realization crosses over avidya by illumination and the grace of God.
So the scriptures and the Guru stand apart from the whole world. We're in the world, but not of it. existing solely for the benefit of those of us in ignorance, to free us from our suffering. All right, one more.
Swanubhutya swayam jnatva swatmatmanamkhanditam sansiddha sammukham tishtet nirvikalpatmanatmani. Knowing his own absolute self through realization, becoming perfect, a man should stand face to face before the Atman with mind free from all concepts of dualism.
Here, what we are to do, this language of face to face is problematic. I don't understand the Sanskrit well enough. You will not see the self. What it means is everything falls away in nirvikalpa, and I alone remain. Pure existence, pure sentience, no sorrow. The end of Upadesha, indescribable. Okay, we'll end here. What verse are we on for next week?
479.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Om.